Welcome back to Tools of the Pilots, the podcast where we break down the mindset, tactics, and culture of elite aviators and apply them to business, leadership, and life. I am TC, and I'll be your host. If you're getting value from Tools of the Pilots, don't forget to subscribe. We drop mission-critical insights every week, straight from the cockpit to your headset.
In the air, we operate on the edge, where seconds matter, and execution isn't optional. But some of the most high-stakes missions today aren't flown at 40,000 feet. They happen in surgical suits, sometimes halfway across the world. Today, I'm joined by two extraordinary individuals, Dr. Muhannad Al-Haddad and Dr. Humoud Al-Rashidi, part of the surgical team of the Jaber Al-Ahmad Hospital in Kuwait. Alongside with Dr. Suleiman Al-Mazidi, they made history by performing the world's long-distance intercontinental robotic surgery, operating a patient in Brazil 12,000 kilometers away and in Kuwait 12,000 kilometers away. So that's not science fiction, that's reality, and that's discipline, that's teamwork, that's technology working in a flawless formation. So in this episode, we'll explore how high-performing medical teams use structure, tech, and mindset to deliver under immense pressure. And we will link their tools with 5 non-negotiables as fighter pilots we live by, and discover that these universal principles are applicable either you're wearing the flying suit or the lab coat. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
Dr. Haddad, Dr. Humoud, welcome to the show. Really, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Want to listen to your personal tours or habits for staying sharp in the situations. For the people that haven't been listening, the highlight, what happened a few weeks ago?
Actually, the story starts 3 years ago. In fact, 2 years ago was 2023, and in this very same place,
Conference room.
in this conference room, but was over there. We have bought the first Vinci robot. It's a surgical tool where the surgeon operates from one place and the doctor is in the next room. It's very precision, it's very delicate, it works in multiple surgeries, and it's one of the advanced surgical technology right now that we use quite regularly in the world of surgery across the globe. So, like I say, it's a very effective tool for some specialties, especially our specialties. Dr. Humoud is a bariatric obesity surgeon, and he works and he also fixes the anterior abdominal wall. So he does his hernias. I remember him and the head of the department, Dr. Salman, were here. I've just finished a case in robot. I came back here and someone told me, "Oh, you're late. What's up?" Sorry, I was doing the robotic surgery for this patient. Because everyday robot we do more. Let's come up with something new. Why don't we do a telesurgery? He said. We took it as a joke. Telesurgery. What do you mean? He goes, "What? We're here and the patient elsewhere. Why not?" So it started as a dream, and then the head of the department took it serious. And he started to make a few phone calls, contact company, the Ministry of Health. And then the whole thing started. So the idea was actually 2 years ago. To make it happen, of course, there are multiple things we had to go through. First of all is, what robot has the capability of doing a telesurgery? Telesurgery means the cross-continent. So you're here and the patient is in Italy. The surgeon is in France and the patient is in, China. So that specific role of the robot is not readily available in all robots. So you have to find this specific type of robot that actually offer this kind of services. So Dr. Humoud and Dr. Suleiman had to travel half of the globe to find what was good enough to carry. Dr. Humoud started going to, I think they went to China. And from there, they came to find that one of the companies which provides is called Edge. It's called Edge Company, and it's based in what's the name of the the area?
Shenzhen.
Shenzhen. So he went there while they were actually manufacturing the robots. And then Dr. Humoud was involved on some of the feedback and the specification that they had to, let's say, acquaint to make the surgery safe. And after 2 years, once the robot was ready and tasted and started to be exported all around the world, we went in there for the final touch. I was me, Dr. Suleiman, and Dr. Humoud, and we got the robot here to Kuwait. So the idea was his.
It's an extraordinary achievement. I mean, for those who didn't follow the headlines, give us a cockpit view of what happened the day that you operated in Brazil and vice versa.
After the decision was made by us, we allocated the patients, we prepared everything, we made sure that the network is working. I went to Brazil, Curitiba to be specific, and I was in direct contact with my colleagues here in Kuwait, and we prepared everything, and we started first with the Brazilian patient, and
We had to operate from here on the Brazilian patient.
Brazilian.
Yes.
It was 8 a.m. in Brazil,
It was 3:30 p.m.
3:30, 3 in
Big
Kuwait.
feedback.
And you know, we tried it multiple times on a dry labs, on a simulation, but when it came to the actual patient, it was a different experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
I was standing by the patient there in Brazil, and the robot was operating by Dr. Muhannad and Dr. Suleiman, who were in Kuwait, and it went smoothly.
Yeah.
And at that time, I realized that we can do a lot with this technology.
Yeah.
After they finished, I didn't notice any difference in the quality or quality or the time.
Mhm.
At the end, patient safety is the most important
Of course.
factor in the whole procedure. After we finished, we did inguinal hernia, which is one of the most common surgical procedures we do, and the guys finished it in 35-40 minutes, which was almost the usual time we take to do it. And then we switched the control. I operated from Brazil on a patient in Kuwait. And it took the same 45 minutes, but we tried to switch the control between Brazil and Kuwait just to check for the safety, just in case that anything happens, any emergency happens. It took less than 40 seconds to switch from Brazil to Kuwait.
Amazing technology when it comes to help us like this, you know. And you were talking about the simulators and the preparation, you know. I'm thinking about my profession. That's why I see a lot in common in high stake endeavors like, you know, surgery and a fighter pilot, because, you know, if you're not prepared, you cannot do this. And also it's a teamwork. I mean, there were the three of you guys, you know, planning and doing these things, but probably people involved were even more, right?
Yeah.
The actual also, I need to tell you, the surgery itself was only the cherry on the top. There are so many other things that actually took place, which rendered the surgery very difficult. Initially, we couldn't find a connection. For you to do this procedure, you have to have a latency, which is mean a delay between your movement of the hand and the movement of the robot. And it shouldn't exceed 200 milliseconds. It shouldn't. If it does, then number one, safety is jeopardized. Number two, you won't qualify in Guinness, because Guinness, they have a prerequisite. Yeah, you have to make sure that you follow certain rules. So we spoke to various companies without me telling which companies, and they said, so it's impossible. They told us to do this surgery, this distance with this latency, it is impossible. We've lost hope. Until we met someone with Zain. He says, look, I can't tell you it's a lost case. We have to send the engineer. They sent the engineer here. They stayed for like probably 3-4 weeks, checking communications, fibers underground. And they said, look, locally, we're good. I'm not really sure how the data can travel to Brazil. Let us check. Eventually, they came back with bad news. They said, listen, we can actually get you a very good latency, but only from Kuwait to Marseille. The problem is from Marseille to Brazil, it doesn't go direct. It has to go through the state, and from state to Panama, from Panama to... So we're going to lose sight. And then we lost hope again. Later on, the CEO, the chairman of Zain, he called us in. He goes, look, it will take place. Right or left, we have to work in it. I am going to solve this problem. So they had to outsource a company from France to do certain connection directly from France across the Atlantic to Curitiba. And when we did the test from Kuwait, it took us a long time. But when we did the test, we managed to reach 1.95 with the upload of 80, which is just about safe. Only then Guinness accepted us, or accepted that challenge. So the connection was the main issues here, the main issue.
Yeah, we must say extraordinary achievement, but recognized by the World Guinness, obviously, because you were telling in the background, I know Dr. Mo since a few years now, you were telling the story that there was already a world record for intercontinental robotic surgery, and that's the one that you beat it.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a story about it?
Like I said, to qualify to Guinness, you have to have a certain prerequisite that you need to fulfill. So the first telesurgery, which was recorded by Guinness as the longest distance telesurgery, took place in 2001, in September 2001, namely 9th of September 2001. And it was from New York, where the main surgeon, his name was Jack. And the patient was in Strasbourg, who had a gallbladder stone. He had a gallbladder stone that the gallbladder needed to go out. But at the time, there were no Wi-Fi. So they had to put a cable from across the Atlantic all the way to Strasbourg. The cable was long and was very expensive. And it was almost a governmental project. The robot at the time was called Zeus. Zeus was the main company because it cost a lot. So the French said, look, we will cover half of the cost from the Atlantic, which is our part, and the Americans should cover half of it. And they did. The American paid half, the French paid half, and they made the project possible. The guy operated successfully from New York, very close to Twin Towers. The patient was in Strasbourg. And when it's finished, they gave it the name of Lindbergh procedure, which was the first pilot who actually traveled across the Atlantic in 1927. It was very big. It was a very big achievement. It was 6,000 meters square, 6,000 kilos, the world record. And when it was about to hit the media, because remember, it's a boom, right? So you get into a media, then probably one day before the boom, the 11th of September, the horrible, worst ever attack occurred in the Twin Towers. And it stole the media, stole the show. Everyone's talking about it. Who would talk about robots? Who would talk about, that technology? They lost. The company lost. Totally, they lost. So it wasn't really advertised globally as a Guinness record. Although It was registered in Guinness as the longest procedure.
Okay.
When we came to do, they told us that so the record before us was 6,000 kilo from New York to Strasbourg, France, and now we
That's a
have
pretty good reference there that you wanted to beat and you doubled it. So
we doubled. Yeah,
you were
yeah,
just lean.
yeah.
I think it's a thing of pride for Kuwait, and for a Kuwaiti surgeon to do something like this, which resonates on the media, and it's really an amazing thing. Like talking about the procedure itself. Now you were talking about latency, which is how quickly the information is passed. Basically, for listeners are not familiar with this thing, but everything is happening like there is no margin for error because already latency is small. Were there moments, because you were alone in Brazil, you were with the other colleague here, but still, okay, were there moments of stress during the procedure, or you were there like, okay, nothing is going to happen?
Yeah. Like there are multiple parties involved in the surgery, the Ministry of Health, Guinness, so they had to send someone who witnessed the surgery. Guinness need to send someone to witness that you're actually doing the surgery, and there must be a doctor who doesn't work in the hospital also need to come from elsewhere to monitor the surgery, so they can say we have witnessed the surgery and really took a place. So we had defined the date. The date was supposed to be on the 23rd of September. So the device was shipped from Casablanca to Kuwait and was supposed to arrive on the 18th. Suddenly we receive an email that the shipment will be delayed for 3 weeks. What? The minister, it's costly. It costs lots of money. So we kind of stressed out, and then when we spoke to the company, they had to stop the ship in Barcelona and get the robot outside the ship to the port, to the airport, and from there to Kuwait.
Yeah.
That alone cost almost $350,000 alone. Just that. So it arrived quite late. It arrived on the 20th, and there's 3 days we have to operate. Now, for your device, it has to be synchronized with the device in Brazil. The device in the Brazil was not ready except 6 hours before the surgery. My God. And then now we have to test. Tomorrow everyone is coming, the minister is coming, it's a huge event. And the time differences, and they called us up, they said, sorry, it's not going to be ready until 3 a.m. 3 a.m. today is the test. Today at 3 p.m. is the real surgery. What to do? We had to stay in the hospital, sleep here. At 3 a.m. they wake us up, oh, we're ready to try. We went in there, start to try. Your left hand works right, and your right hand control left. Then I was about to faint. What to do? You press the right, the left works. You press the left, it works. Guys, are we going to do this surgery tomorrow? We have a big event. This is not work. They had to do another 3 hours to work on it until everything is fixed. And then me and Humoud tried to do the dry lab. It's basically do some objects, and eventually at like maybe 5 a.m. our time, 6 a.m. our time, everything was in place. So it was very stressful. Imagine, and 6 hours later you have to do the surgery.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. And doing the surgery, Thomas, also, and everyone is waiting outside. The news, the media, the minister.
Sure.
It's very stressful. The surgery isn't that hard. We do it daily. We do 5-6 cases of those ones. But to be under tension like we were was something unexperienced before, to be honest.
That's also was recognized by the royal family as well. I mean, I think you got recognized for what you did. So it has been something valuable for humanity. Starting from a dream. That's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you create a project that goes long, and it's going to open so many doors from now. We say fighter pilots live and die by 5 non-negotiables. Of course, these are principles that guide our mindset in high pressure missions. And one of them is be on time. So, as you said, time is critical. What does time means for in a procedures like yours?
First of all, the time the latency it is actually regarded as time. So imagine if the latency was just like few milliseconds delay, that will affect greatly your that's number one during the surgery. So the data update to go back and forth was very important. Imagine for this to take place versus this not to take place is few milliseconds. Because remember, you have to move your hand synchronously with the multi-arm in the Brazil.
Yes.
And if there is a delay, then your whole skill set will be slightly confused.
Yeah.
So you have to reach that time limit. That's very important.
Yeah.
So the time is actually, if you tell me what was the most important part of that surgery, I tell you the time. It's latency. It's the time. It was crucial for us. It was crucial.
Imagine like driving a car. And
Absolutely.
to turn right, and
then it takes you like 2 seconds. Yeah.
You know, we're kind of used to it, so it's really against your instinct of doing something and seeing the effect right away.
Absolutely. And then, to be fair, as here, I think it's probably less stressful than with Humoud, because me, Suleiman, we have all the staff with us here. He was all alone in Brazil and operating on a patient here in Kuwait, all alone. So he had to continue successfully the bi-directional surgery.
Yeah.
So I do believe that the pressure he was subjected to is far more than what we've been subjected to here in.
You were mentioning the preparation, because preparation for fighter pilots is the second non-negotiable. Okay, everything you do, you need to be prepared. There is no way that you're gonna go in flight you haven't prepared for the mission. You know, it's life threatening situation, and also this one is life threatening. Maybe it's not life threatening for you, but for the patient they are doing. So I guess preparation was one of the main focus. How long did it last? Because I mean, it's the 2 years to 3 years process. But how long was the preparation? Did you guys did the briefing, execution, and then the brief, or what you did?
The most important aspect of the preparation is being familiar and confident with the procedure you're doing. As Dr. Muhannad said, we're doing it every day. We're doing this procedure for the past 10-15 years, every day. So when we talk about preparation, it's not a day or two. It's an accumulation of multiple years to reach that level of skills, which makes you comfortable and confident in doing such procedures. So although there was a stress, but since you know what you are doing, that gives you a relief. Once you go in, you control and just consider it as if the patient is only few meters away, and it's the same procedure. Just do what you are doing every day. That's the most important aspect of the preparation. As I said, being familiar and confident with the surgery itself, because this will reflect on the outcome of the procedure and the patient safety.
Yeah. I mean, the patient is away from you. Okay, so normally you have the patient there. Was there something that was kind of weird? I mean, like you were operating through, this robot far away. Okay, normally you have the kind of, let's say, I mean, as a surgeon, probably you're not, you don't have to be too much empathic in, getting emotional during an operation, but you need to like laser focus on what you're doing. But the fact that it was far away, did it help, or was it a little bit?
No. First of all, let me tell you about the robot. The robot has no tactile effects, which means when you touch a tissue, it only eyes recognition, a pattern recognition. So when you, for example, touch a tissue, if you touch it with your hand or you touch it with laparoscope, you'll be able to feel how much you're grasping. In the robot, that we call tactile effect. That tactile effect is absent in the robot. But if the patient next to you, you're allowed to, it will be easier for you to see For example, I'm not sure about this issue. Let me go and have a grasp in the laparoscopy. But to have to carry out a full surgery with no tactile effects, you're so much away. You can't even touch the patient's belly. You can't even clinically examine the patient. You have to rely entirely upon your partner who's accompanying the patient there. You understand me?
Yeah.
For example, we need to put the mesh. Mesh is basically when you have a weak abdominal wall, you strengthen it by putting mesh. It's a net. You
Yeah.
put it like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
right? So you suture it. So even putting the mesh, we're not involved in it. It's whoever is there, you're giving the command. So you have to synchronize with your team on the other part of the world on the same moment while you're actually operating, and that was quite difficult. Yes, of course, it's a lot easier for me to operate on this patient in this regard. The skills is the same, but the collaterals is totally different. It's totally different.
I guess one of the items that one of the principles that we use is the structure and checklist, and as you said, preparation. Then it reflects in some procedures that you've been following, which effectively what you want to do, you want to reduce the human error. Even if you're using a robot, you want to reduce the human error. But how does that show up in the operation room? Is that something that you feel like kind of the structure is limiting your freedom, or can you be, let's say, creative and free using the structure and the checklist when you are operating? It's really complex, but it's one of our principles, having structure and checklist. So everything you do,
Have that
you have
checklist.
SOPs,
Yeah.
SOPs, like standard operating procedure. So in this specific case, were you able to access them in a quick way, even if you were remotely connected?
Yeah, honestly, there wasn't a big difference because we were live streaming both rooms, so we can hear and see each other. So during the checklist, there it was like a regular checklist.
Pretty straightforward.
So we actually you can see we were talking to him continuously throughout the procedure.
Yeah.
We're taking his opinion. Humoud, what you're seeing there, is it moving the way we're seeing it on the screen? And for example, is the patient that when they do the checklist, we're together, as in we're both in one room, but we're 12,035.
Which brings
Either
me
way.
to the next non-negotiable, which is communication and assertive communication. I guess during the operation, you were able to communicate and get the response quickly. That's
Absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes we help each other. For example, when Humoud was operating, we were all in the room with him on stand on service. So he was asking us, guys, what is the mesh, guys? So because we're team, we work together here. We all have the same technique. So he was just making sure that we're with him and supporting him in each single steps, from the dissection, from the flap, from the mesh. Although he knows it all, but we just need to be in contact with him so he feels his team is backing him up. Continuous from the skin to the skin. We were almost like with him. We're seeing the same screen, and we're communicating on the microphones.
To make it simple, it was like a phone call,
Yeah.
a video call between two people in different countries.
I think the key takeaway here is high stake profession like yours, teamwork is crucial. And having been on time and being prepared, structure a checklist, and then communicating assertively, and also controlling the controllable, because you have been preparing for this. So there is really, really what could go wrong. Okay. But as a teamwork, you gentlemen did a great work, and you keep doing this great work because we have the same principles. It's like
Absolutely.
following this
Taking the decision,
feeling
right?
the pressure
Yeah.
of the activity that you're doing, and wanting to be precise. You always make sure that you are always at the top of your
Absolutely.
activity. Let's give some tools for peak performance under pressure. Okay, let's shift from surgery to the human behind the scalpel. Okay.
Okay.
What are your personal tools and for staying sharp? What's your style?
being present, and I have to be surrounded with successful people. I need to be present for me to be sharp. For example, for me to master a thing, I have to do it 1,000 times. Otherwise, it's all about exposure. So exposure, let's say exposure. I need to be exposed a lot. I always am on the run. Every day I have same surgery. I repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat until I become very sharp on that particular surgery. I'd like to be sharp in a few things, than average on across the board. So exposure on subspecialty, being focused on certain specialty, and be present and do it over and over and over, repeat, trial and error, try until you master it. I think that's my success to be sharp in my particular specialty, I guess.
What about you, Dr. Humoud?
Consistency, as Doctor, and being down to earth, accepting all the suggestions and instructions. It's always nice to accept the other people's opinion. That's it.
Yeah, that's it's huge because same in flying. We repeat, and then we debrief, and then in the debriefing is where magic happens. When you get the feedback and you're learning from others, that's the most important part. I mean, you're working with students. Obviously, the level of skills is lower. If they are at the beginning,
Sure.
but then when you work with the expertise, then you're listening. Okay, yeah, you have an angle
Absolutely.
on this. So
Absolutely.
the brief is really great.
Especially Tommaso, in surgery, you will never be a top master. You cannot complete. Every day, there will be something new.
Something, yeah.
It will be always something new. So you always, whoever is experienced, there are someone around there who is more experienced than him. It's never a complete process. It's like a dominoes effect.
I think we've done a pretty good job. Okay. Anything else you wanna be asked, or something you wanna talk specifically?
Thank you very much for hosting us. It was very friendly talk. And off the record, I love your shows, by the way. And I love your shows. And yeah, it's a pleasure having you here. I hope it was
It was very nice.
Let me close it up. I have a little bit of monologue here.
Sure.
In the cockpit, we are trained to act with precision under pressure, with lives on the line. Today, we met two doctors who do exactly the same from across the globe, through a robot. We're noted by skill, structure, and clarity to guide you. The future of performance, whether in surgery or leadership, belongs to those who embrace this kind of systems where people are, trained for chaos, and they deliver the performance and then they debrief. So to everyone listening, you may not be flying jets or performing surgery, but you face pressure. People face pressure, complexity in their lives, in their relationships, in sport, for example. So these tools are applicable to everything. So if you use the structure, you show up on time, use the structure, you prepare, then you're able to fly your mission. So, this is Tools of Fighter Pilots, Dr. Muhannad, Dr. Humoud.
Thank you, Tomas.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.